Prey has become one of those games that I really did enjoy, guys, when this game released back in 2017, and I've been hoping to see a continuation of this series, or this game, I should say, for quite some time, and ever since then, because I thought that it had some really, interesting concepts, and I think it's a shooter that definitely deserves to coexist with other shooters out there in the gaming landscape at this point. And so we've talked about on the YouTube channel about Prey 2, and the possibilities of it and what happened there, what happened to Prey as a whole. But in this segment of the show, I want to talk about Prey 2 and why it is a game that should exist in the gaming landscape. So let's talk about it. So like I said, guys, the first Prey, came out May 5th, 2017. Prey 2 was greenlit after this game came out, and they got pretty far into development of Prey 2, and then, of course, it, got canceled along the way for, probably a number of different reasons. I think there was probably a number of reasons why it got canceled. Number one would probably be simply because, there's a real possibility, guys, that Arcane Studios decided that, there might have been some creative differences, or there was a possibility that they didn't like the vision or where Prey 2 was going at that particular moment in time. And so there's been a lot of talk that there would be a continuation of the Prey series, because the first Prey was it was a pretty interesting and exciting, game, to say the least. And I think that there really was something here. It had a lot of, gave a lot of different vibes, guys, to different, other games out there in the gaming landscape. But what I'll say is this: I think Bethesda would do very well to go ahead and have Prey come out. So Bethesda is the publisher, of course, guys. Arcane Studios is the developer. And so Bethesda, you look at other games that they've, had, come out, or sequels to other games that have come out. Let's look at Rage, for example. We've talked about Rage on the YouTube channel quite a bit, and Rage has had a sequel to, to the first one. And this is a series that reminds me a lot of Prey. Not that they're like, they're obviously different stories and things of that nature, but they're very similar in, kind of the size of the fan bases, and, it just kind of feels like, why wouldn't they continue Prey as well if they're going to continue Rage? Because I think that there's a decent sized fan base after the first Prey came out, and people have been clamoring for another Prey game for quite some time. Even though it might be a niche, group of a community, I still think that this would be a series that could sell well. And obviously they were considering it, and there was probably just some creative differences, and the vision wasn't really there for the second Prey game. That doesn't mean, guys, that this is a series that is completely dead. It doesn't mean that they're never going to come out with a sequel. It just means that right now it's on an indefinite hiatus. And so why should it exist? Well, guys, you could ask the same question for a number of these franchises. Since we brought up Rage, why, should Rage 2 exist? Why should any other game out there, why should there be continuations? Well, number one, guys, it really comes down to the community, right? The community that's being built around a specific game. I think most developers out there aren't thinking to themselves, well, if we, make this game and it becomes, absolute success, I'm sure that they're thinking to themselves that they would like to, make continuations, or at least make a lot of expansions for that particular game, whatever the case might be. But at the end of the day, the publishers are thinking, well, we want there to be multiple games, because if there's multiple games, that means that there's something there. There's a fan base there that's going to keep on playing those games as they go along. So, for one, Rage is a franchise that has had a sequel. There's even been talks of a third game coming out. Prey reminds me a lot of Rage, like I said, and I think that Prey deserves to have a sequel, because, sure, it might be, not, like the biggest franchise on earth, but this is a franchise, guys, that I think they have something special going, and I think that they can elaborate on that, not only with the next gen of consoles, with the from a graphics standpoint, but even from a story perspective. Who knows where they could go with this story? They're using the Cry engine, which is the engine that they used to make the first Prey game. So if they did that again, they could really come up with some pretty, from a graphics standpoint, it would look really good. If you had some co-op modes, you have some multiplayer modes. This is a franchise that really, I think, could continue to grow. I think that it's definitely one that has a lot of possibility. I mean, we look at Rage 2, just a single player experience, didn't even have a multiplayer experience or co-op experiences, and we saw that that really hurt the game in a major way, as well as bugs and, you know, obviously not a lot of things to see and do when you're traveling around the world, but that's neither here nor there. The main thing here is with Prey, having a Prey 2, they could really elaborate on this world. They could, you know, continue. They could have some, you know, more co-op modes, you know, multiplayer modes, and really bring that fan base, you know, to come back, to keep coming back to Prey 2. So I don't think, guys, at the end of the day, that this is a franchise that is by any stretch of the imagination dead. I think what it comes down to is the fan base has to be the ones that are voicing their opinion to Arcane Studios, voicing their opinions to Bethesda, that they want to see a continuation, that we want to see a continuation of Prey. Because this is a franchise, guys, that does deserve to coexist with other shooters out there. But at the end of the day, guys, I think it really comes down to preferences, you know, and it comes down to us as a community stating that we want something made. And if enough people are saying, you know, and asking for something, a lot of times these developers will see that and then they will greenlight these projects or bring them back from the dead. But with that being said, everyone, I want to hear from all of you guys. Would you guys want to see a Prey 2 at some point or another in the future? And what is it that you guys would like to see in a sequel to the 2017 Prey? Let me know what you guys think. And for more Prey 2 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV.